Hello everyone, Spaced Oyster here, and welcome back to Let's Play Shadow of the Colossus. Last time, we defeated the 15th Colossus, rambled a bit more on Breath of the Wild for some odd reason, and lost our horse, Aggro. And now, we're currently scaling this, whatever this place is called, to take on the final Colossus, because at this point, it's the only way forward. Well, that or just turn off the game. But if you just wanted to see me turn off the game, you would have paused the video halfway through, like on the first part, and just turned it off and never came back. I joke, of course. Well, I guess if you wanted to do that, you could. I wouldn't be able to really stop you, but where's the fun in that? Come on, don't you want to see Wander risk his life and throw it all away by fighting all these different colossi? Of course you do! That's why you're here! Anyway, in this episode we'll be taking down the very last Colossus, and we'll be following that up with the ending sequences and cinematics. There is also some credits with a few after-credits scenes. I won't be able to talk through all of those, though, so no idea what to talk about after that. Anyway, here we are with the 16th and final Colossus. His semi-official name is Malice, and that's just what I'm going to call it. Malice. I couldn't really think of a good nickname. I was thinking maybe Cinderella, since it looks like he's wearing a dress, and his feet have a semi-prominent feature similar to Cinderella. But I kind of didn't want to undercut it. And Malice here is obviously the third Colossus with a unique theme. Well, semi-unique. This is going to play one more time in the ending sequences. Still very pretty, though. Oh, right, I forgot. I was going to bring up the last of the cut Colossi that I haven't mentioned yet. I was going to bring it up while we were fighting the last Guardian. But I forgot about it. The last of the cut Colossi was a giant monkey. He doesn't have an official name. I think he was just called Gorilla or Monkey. He was supposed to be fought in like a big cave, and you were gonna shoot him off of the ceiling and then poke him away. He's probably similar to the 8th Colossus, Sheeptar, the Sheep King. But I guess he may have gotten scrapped because he might have been too tough or too complicated. Or maybe he just didn't fit with the theme. Who knows? But yeah, this Malice here also actually creates an effective bookend with the first Colossus, Asterios. In both cases, in order to get to each of those the first and the last Colossus, you have to go through a small platforming section. And then on normal mode, at least, they also both have exactly one weak spot that you reach by hitting or hitting one or more progression weak spots. Or, unlike Asterios, Malice here is extremely dangerous. Because, you know, those blasts, they send you flying, and if Wander gets hit, he's not getting up for a while. He gets pretty stunned. There is actually a way to just run straight towards Malice and dodge them with perfectly timed rolls, but I can't do that. It's a favorite tactic among speedrunners, but as my failed time attack record would show, I'm not a speedrunner. I can get the appeal of speedrunning, but at the end of the day I usually just like to take my time and enjoy the game, and if I feel like I'm being too pressured to not able to handle what's in front of me, I like to grind when that's an option. Obviously not the case in Shadow of the Colossus here. But it is in Pokemon. Like, I was playing through that randomized Emerald version, and they decided to give one of the gym leaders a Metagross. That thing was really tough to take down. Especially since the only thing that I had that could really do anything to it was a Slugma that it was able to take out in 2 to 3 hits. At least it was able to do it in 1. But, I guess back to Shadow of the Colossus, Malice here is very noticeably bigger than the rest of the Colossi. Well, not all of the Colossi. I think, actually, the 13th one, Steps of Faith, is bigger in square mileage. But, like, Malice is very noticeably taller. Like, his whole this whole dress we've been climbing on, it's like one long platforming section. In and of itself. They really did a lot to make this finale seem very climactic and finalized. Man, we stab him in the back and leap onto his hand. That's not good. Like, oop. God damn it all. Sorry, I should not have said that. Regardless. Wander, you blistering ass fart, why didn't you grab onto his hand? And why did you jump at that awkward angle? What is wrong with you? I know you're an awkward teenager, but still. An awkward teenage comment actually reminded me of another thing I forgot to mention. With this HD remake, or remaster, a lot of people actually aren't a big fan of the way characters look now. Like Wander and Mono, they seem to be a lot more youthful. It looks like they have a lot of baby fat on them still. Yeah, as you can see, Malice is just turning his hand around, trying to get a good look at us, while we fail to climb him, and then he tries to shake us off. Still kind of baffled as to why he doesn't just swat us like a mosquito, since that's pretty much what we are in comparison. Let's see if we can get to that wrist now. Yes! Oh! That was almost bad. Wander, come on. Oh. I thought he was just crouching. So next we get up onto his shoulder and stab away at this sweet spot here. Then you want to do that leap where Wander looks back and jumps backwards. Wander, what are you doing up there? You were supposed to jump backwards. I held the joystick backwards. I have a lot of stamina left. Let's get it this time, Wander. Oh, come on. Wander, you are very uncooperative, and it's very annoying, and I hate you. Fortunately, Malice is kind enough to not move his arm around too much. I say that, and then he just does it right away. Come on. I said, come on. Really, really sad that the most difficult part of this game, above all else, has been this one jump right here. Like, seriously, what am I doing wrong? Alright, let's do this again. Come on. Yeah, you don't even have to stab him that hard. It can do damage, but you don't really need to do damage. It's just a progression point. Oh, geez, finally. Okay, now that we're on his other hand, you want to climb onto the back of it and give it a good poke. That will make him hold his hand still long enough for you to stand up and shoot him in that weak spot you see over there on his shoulder. And he'll move the hand you're sitting on to grasp at that shoulder in pain. And we're at the top. If I remember right, I think he just has this one weak spot on the top of his head. But Wander is going through an awkward phase, and he doesn't want to cooperate. Alright, so now we're gonna just poke him in the head a bunch of times. And I think I'm in that sweet spot where Wander isn't going to be thrown around at all. Since Malice is bolted to the floor, the most he can do is shake his torso around. It's really hard to get a sense for just how tall he is when you're on his head. Alright, he is down, and facepalm! Maybe he's just embarrassed about how little of a fight he put up. Yeah. Let's see if I can get down to somewhere safer before that happens. So, to kind of point out the obvious here, my idea about what those black tendrils are is that they're probably semi-obviously Dormin, and that they were contained in the weak spots on each Colossus. So when you stabbed it and that black blood was gushing out, that was probably Dormin's essence leaking out of the Colossus. And then the tendrils themselves are Dormin, finally being released from it. That's the idea anyway. They don't actually explain it in too many words. Yeah, minimalist all around. They don't tell you too much about the plot. The gameplay is straightforward and simplified, and everything about the gameplay leads back to fighting the Colossi. But Lord Eamon and his men have arrived. Unfortunately, they didn't show them going down that giant spiral ramp either. It's a very long ramp. But yeah, see, they just cut ahead. Saves me the effort of having to do that. I think I was calling him Lord Eamon before they actually mentioned his name. They get to witness the final Colossus statue breaking. Oh, hold on. There we go. I didn't have the headset plugged all the way in, and it was being a little weird with the audio. On my end. On your end, it should be fine. Worst case, you probably just heard a click. I guess one sad thing to think about with Malice is that if he was active the whole time we were playing the game, and a light shoots up every time a Colossus dies, then he had to stand there and watch as more lights filled up the sky, because you could probably see every other Colossus location from where he's at. So we basically made him watch as we killed all his brothers and or sisters. Looks like Mono's still out. Hey, look, Wander's back. Oh, that short sword must be a lot sharper than I thought if it can just stick to the stone like that, with nothing but gravity pushing it down. get the weird shadowy things surrounding Wander, who, yeah, he doesn't look all that good, buddy. He's got those horns, his skin is blue. And Wander can take you out. He's slain Colossi. Just give him 5 more minutes. Oh wow, his eyes look creepy too. Oh wow, Wander's voice sounds very different too. And yeah, and he's bleeding black blood too, letting credence to the idea that Dorman is now possessing him, or has been possessing him. Come on, don't just tease us, stick it in already. Timed out a little bad, but oh, hey, we survived. Cool. Maybe any sword could have worked against the Colossi. Unless that doesn't actually hurt Wander. The crossbow bolt did. I assume since he's limping. Man, what a champ. Got a sword sticking out of the upper part of his body and he's still walking. Is it just me or does she look a little less pale now? Oh my. That can't be good for him either. Honestly, Eamon looks a little weird to me in this version of the game. Like, I guess he never looked good in the last copy either, but yeah, this time he just looks a little dopey. Oh. Alright, those spider legs are just creeping me out. I do not like spiders. Only has the male voices now. Interesting. Borrowed. Like when someone says, "Hey, can I borrow your sandwich?" He's probably not gonna give Wander his body back. And here comes a twist. This section is playable. We are going to be playing as Dorman here. You can smash your fist with this square button. If you hold down the triangle button, he'll breathe fire, and the R2 button will have him lean down. And you can jump with X still. But I think I think in spite of your size, this section, or well, because of your size, this section exists to highlight just how much of an advantage you had over each of the Colossi, rather than the disadvantage you felt like you were at. Because it's really hard to aim your attacks, and you can barely see them, especially since you can't focus on them. But they can easily see where you're at from any angle, and they can attack pretty fast and consistently, whereas you cannot. It's also very, very tough to move. That's probably because you're stuck in this temple. They probably intended to be one final gut punch to the player to be like, oh shit, no wonder why those guys no wonder why these Colossi couldn't hit me so easily. There was actually plans for an alternate ending. The alternate ending was going to have Mono wake up early. Spoiler alert, I guess. While Eamon was here, she was going to wake up and startle him and his soldiers away, and then Wander would get transported back, and then him and Mono would live happily ever after. I wonder what Dormin did the whole time they were climbing the stairs. You can hear him thrashing around, but I don't know what sort of efforts he's making to try and get up there. And that's pretty much everything we know about the story, barring the things that happen after these events. Apparently Wander approached Eamon asking about this place, Dormin, and the sword, and then he stole it. The question is, are they from the same civilization? Like, are they like in a nomadic tribe, or were they living in a city? Or did Wander travel from his home to Eamon's home to ask about Dormin, and then stole the stuff from Eamon there, instead of from his own people? Or Wander could have even already been in possession of that sword. And when Mono got sacrificed for the cursed fate that he mentioned, did Wander, knowing the legend, some of the legend about the sword, decide to pursue it? It came across Eamon, and then learning about the Forbidden Land, took her here to see if it was true, and then to go through with all this stuff. Very ambiguous, but the only things we really need to know is that Wander encountered Eamon. Eamon told him not to come here. Wander came here anyway. Another skeptical part is that there is no way to resist to not get pulled into this part. Like, you can hold on here for as long as your stamina bar holds out. And, oh god, what is the camera doing? Let's see if I can get that camera down. Oh, it wants to default to the whatever position you want to call that. Yeah, there were some rumors that you could withstand the pull of the light and get a different ending, but people who actually did pull it off had to use glitches, and it just turned... they had to use glitches and invisible walls. And it turns out there's another invisible wall right in front of Mono, so you can't even get back to her anyway. Really anticlimactic there. We faced down all the Colossi, but someone else came in and made all our efforts pointless. And then just to add insult to injury, them stealing Dormin like that also destroys this bridge. So even if we had survived, we'd probably be stuck here. what do we have here? Well, yeah, the big twist that I already spoiled. Dorman held up their end of the bargain, and Mono should be getting up anytime soon. Yeah, there she goes. Dorman held up their end of the bargain and resurrected Mono in exchange for us slaying the Colossi, even though he got sealed shortly afterwards. Another idea concerning Dorman is that, the male aspects of Dorman's personality, they ended up going into Wander, while the female aspects of Dorman ended up going into Mono, and that she might not actually be alive, but possessed by Dorman, the half of Dorman that survived. Although it kind of falls flat since that sealing thing that Lord Iman did before he left, that probably would have sucked up Mono too if she had any essence of Dorman in her. But at the same time, it could have worked since Iman wouldn't have known about Mono having Dorman in her, if that's the case. But the white doves that surround her every time Wander wakes up, contrasting with Wander being surrounded by those black shadows, could have been an emphasis of that. Oh my gosh, Aggro survives too! I mean, I already knew that, but it still gets me every time. And she only has a broken leg. Not bad for falling off a cliff. So I guess you could say it is a happy ending after all. Because we accomplished all our goals. We rescued the girl and we didn't lose the horse. And now we get the ending credits. There are going to be a few scenes that play after these. So, yeah, that pretty much ends Shadow of the Colossus. I don't think I'm gonna do an episode detailing the locations of those extra things, the enlightenments. I mean, I kind of want to, but I don't want to have to spend the time hunting them down. Plus I'd have to get to New Game like +4 in order to get them all. Lots of work for very little payoff. Plus, I'm pretty sure someone already did it anyway. Although, then again, I should probably do it anyway. I want people to watch my videos, right? I don't know. Do leave me a comment if you want me to hunt those down, and I can get right on that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna leave it as is. But we get a slideshow of all of the corpses of the Colossi that we slew to get here. Right, and as for the next Let's Play, I'm pretty much set on doing Final Fantasy XII. The International Zodiac Job Edition. Definitely a fun game. I'd highly recommend getting it. Like, it improved the original Final Fantasy XII so much. Like, I guess on the topics of remakes and remasterings, it's the type of remake, remaster, or whatever you want to call it, that I really enjoy, because it adds something new to the experience. But in the case of Shadow of the Colossus here, I'm more on the fence, since while the Enlightenments are technically new, they're also technically not necessary, and finding them all is kinda pointless. I mean, well, I guess you could say everything's kind of pointless. Kind of a nihilistic point of view. But it really doesn't... really only unlocks one new thing. A new sword called the Sword of Dorman, that is pretty much capable of taking out all the Colossi in one hit, but since you have to get but with some of the enlightenments hit on the top of the temple, you really need a lot of stamina to get there, so hence why it's New Game Plus 4. And by that time, you don't need any extra help fighting the Colossi. Heck, your stamina would probably be high enough that you can one-shot them without it. And I'm kind of surprised these guys actually made it across the collapsing bridge. Because at the start it looked like it had pretty much caught up to them. Well, of course it's possible to live here. There's fruit and lizards. What more do you need? Too bad for Mono that she's trapped here now. I mean, Agro will be fine. Agro's a horse. Horses are fine anywhere. But poor Mono, she's gonna have very little interaction just with a horse and any other wildlife she can find. And no shoes. That's probably gonna get very uncomfortable after a while. Wait. Ew, it's a baby. Oh, I mean, oh, good, it's a baby! Sorry, I don't like children, like, at all. And as you'll notice, this little baby has horns. I think this is technically Wander. He got regressed into a baby somehow. And if you've played Ico, then Wander here is the very first of all those horned children that the main character of Ico is. He's the progenitor, or the, I guess, father of all the horned kids. It also relates back to that legend of Nimrod, like his Nimrod's widow, after he died, claiming that she gave birth to him, and that the child had horns. At least I think she claimed that. And then, of course, Nimrod being split into the multiple pieces, Dormin was split into multiple pieces too. And then while Nimrod did technically defy God, which in the Bible is a crime, the most heinous one you can commit, for people who aren't religious or aren't in the Christian religion, that isn't necessarily a crime. So Dormin holding up their end of the bargain in this game here, and not only resurrecting Mono, but even finding a way to keep Wander alive too, could be seen as their more as a more softer side, or as an alternate interpretation that isn't focused on one viewpoint. Although I probably shouldn't have brought up religion too much. I really don't want to play... Like, I'm not religious myself, but I don't want to paint too much of an anti-religion vibe, because if you are religious, I don't want you to feel ashamed or anything like that about your religion. What if it makes you happy and you find peace and comfort and all that stuff, then good for you. You are amazing. But religion isn't really not for me, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. You know, and we get an adorable scene with the little deer here. If you do end up making it to the top of the temple that's in this cutscene here, there are fruit in the trees, but if you eat any of that fruit, then your health and stamina will decrease to lower than what they started at. Makes me wonder how you would even get down after that point. And then the entire game itself has a bookend too. Like the first and the last Colossus had parallels, and now the game is gonna kind of repeat its opening cinematic, where you watched a bird fly off and there were eventually stormy clouds. We end by watching a bird fly off and then there are stormy clouds. Whether that's a hint of things to come, like a disaster or something else like that, or just that everything ahead is super stormy, or that the eagle is probably going to die because it's flying into a storm, I do not know. What I do know is I really like the music here. The composer they got was really amazing. Believe their name was Kao Otani? I'm really not good with not English names, so I'm very sorry if I butchered that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that off here. Go ahead and leave a like and a comment if you liked what you saw, and subscribe if you think my future content will be worth watching. That's all for Shadow of the Colossus. Space Doyster signing out. And once again, thanks for watching.